Hello. Welcome to Authentic Woman Podcast. Amy Cummings here with Cummings Coaching. And gosh, just going to be sharing with you today a topic that I probably would say I have a love and sort of hate relationship with, which is getting comfortable with failure. And I just want to point out so I've been wanting to do my podcast from this location in my office for a long time. But I'm like, oh, I don't know if the lighting's going to work or if, my microphone will be in the right place so they can hear me and how comfortable will I feel in this place in doing a podcast. And so I thought no better time than the present to work through my own fears of trying a new location for a podcast, but on a podcast about overcoming fear. So here we are. And by the way, I'm kind of liking it. We'll see how the rest of the show goes. But I have been challenged with failure or fear of failure, I would say all my life. Um, I I think a little bit of it is that I'm a perfectionist, recovering perfectionist, and that I just have this expectation that, well, everything I touch should be perfect. Every event that I plan, I should think of every possible scenario and have, an ABC plan for if things, something changes or doesn't go right, or we have to pivot. That I have a plan for that, and that I feel like everything I touch should turn to gold. When in reality, that doesn't happen for anyone. It doesn't happen for anyone. I don't know why I think I'm so special. But I think that failure has in the past, because this is something I've really been working on, has had to do with my worth. Like if I don't get it right, or I it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, or that someone didn't get the result that they were looking for, and something I was helping them with, that reflects on me and my worth and who I am. And I think it falls underneath this needing to be perfect, um, and please other people. And the reality is that failure doesn't say that about me, and doesn't say that about you either. Sometimes no matter how much preparation we put into something, um, there it still can fail, or it still can be imperfect. You can have a misspelled word that you thought you spell checked everything, and print something or put something out on social media with a typo on it, and that's okay. It doesn't equate to I'm a good or bad person because I had failure. Um, I was thinking this morning about successes that we are visible to us. So just like the Wright brothers, right? Create the airplane. How many times did they fail? How many times did the design that they came up with didn't fly, or it crashed to the ground, didn't get off the ground? I mean, these were two men who were, self-made engineers, just really learning from their experiences. And they had to have many failures in order to finally design an airplane that would fly. I mean, they had to make a new engine that was lighter than any engine had ever been made. They had to learn a lot about aerodynamics, which they only learned about when they either couldn't get off the ground or a gust of wind came up, right? And so in the process of their failures, those were really opportunities to learn something new about what they were designing. And I think we could say that probably about any invention, um, any thing that has come to the market, that it's through the failures that we learn something. And if each I think each of us could take some time if we thought about, "Oh, how did I get to this place? How did I figure out how to use this tool called StreamYard?" It was only through trial and error, people, like, I botched up a lot of podcasts, um, over the last 2 years that, we've been experimenting in this space. Um, I also think of Sarah Blakely, right? The woman who, um, created Spanx. So she's a multi-level, millionaire, right? And, I don't know if you know her story, but, she really wanted to become a trial attorney like her dad. And so she, went to take the LSAT, right? And she failed the first time. Then she studied like mad and took it a second time and got a point lower than her first time of taking the LSAT. Okay. So she's like, "This is not where I'm supposed to be going." And then ended up at a few jobs in between. She worked at Disney. She worked at, she sold, I think it was copiers. Oh, fax machines, door to door. A tough job, sales, tough job, door to door sales, right? And it was through that experience that she was wearing white pants and wanted to, have something underneath them that would make everything smooth. And so cut off a pair of pantyhose and Spanx were made. And if she had become an attorney, a lawyer trial attorney, she never would have discovered this gift of bringing Spanx to the world, right, ladies? Like, we need our Spanx. And it's only in our failures in which we that builds character, because it's what we do about the failure that is really the pivotal moment. Do we sometimes I wallow in self-pity, sometimes I blame, sometimes I feel shame, like, "Oh my gosh, I should have known that was gonna happen." And sometimes the fear paralyzes me from doing it again, or the fear even might paralyze me from doing it the first time. And um, Sarah Blakesley says, "Genius is 100%, or genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." So it's continuing to get up again. You have that dream, you have that vision, getting up again and doing it again and working hard and persevering and setting aside how we compare ourselves to others, not worrying or getting caught up in what other people think, but staying on our mission, staying on what we're called to do. Um, I also think that there's just lots of failures on our roads to success. I was thinking of some of the failures for me as a child. My mom taught us how to sew, and so many times I sew the sleeve wrong into the bodice of the blouse or the dress and have to tear it out. So many times I didn't sew it straight and so I had to do it again, rip it out and do it again. Um, I never liked to read out loud. Reading and spelling in school were difficult for me, and so I was fearful. I did not wanna get up and read in front of people, read a poem, read a chapter of a book, read anything for that matter. Um, and here I am today doing podcasts, um, because I have a message that God has given to me, and I've gotten comfortable in, being in front of the camera, being in front of people, sometimes reading, sometimes, just having some notes to go on. But it's only been through repetition and sometimes completely botching it. I mean, anybody who lectures at church knows there are some words in the scripture that are difficult and have far too many consonants in them. But um, having the courage to say, I'm going to push through the fear and I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it again. Um, my husband is such an example of this to me. My husband has dyslexia. And if someone, if we're in a room or we're at church or, someone's like, hey, who wants to do the readings today? My husband will raise his hand. And I'm so proud of him. He pushes through, even though it's difficult for him. And he's not fearful about it. He's not fearful about proclaiming the word of God. And I think for a lot of people, public speaking is a fear. But if God's calling you to that mission to bring your gift to the world through public speaking, that's not everyone's way to, he doesn't call everyone to that, but we have to step up and do it. And it's going to be imperfect a lot of times. And we're going to learn from that. We're going to learn, oh, this is where the mic needs to be, or this is where the lighting needs to be, or I need to put down a few more notes so that I have a better flow to the presentation. So many things are learned, so much character is built by pushing through the fear. And I also have recognized over the years that what I define as failure is not necessarily how other people define failure. So, some of you might know me as the executive director of Partnership for Youth, and we do the Steubenville conferences. And I tell you, every year there is something we can improve on. And 99% of the time, no one else knows that I didn't think that it went well, right? Uh, oh gosh, so many examples. Like maybe it was the traffic flow in a particular area. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to change that up for next year. That didn't go well, or people had to wait too long in the lunch line, or we didn't have a very organized process for people to flow into the arena and sit in their chairs. Maybe the video transition was choppy, and I wanted that to be different, but maybe my vendor didn't produce well on that. Maybe I didn't communicate exactly what I wanted. But again, it didn't highly impact necessarily the experience of the people at the event. But I saw it as a failure, these things as failures, and want to improve them for next time. And it's not a bad thing to want to improve things. I think that as we're striving for excellence, that's part of it. We think about, oh, we could do it differently, or could I use a different resource, or could I use a different software, or maybe I don't have the right person in that seat on the bus doing that job. I have to maybe need to get a different volunteer to do that position. And because the fear of failure can cripple us or paralyze us or stop us from moving forward, a couple mindset shifts that have been really important to me. One is progress over perfection. So moving forward, maybe despite having all of the answers, or despite having, it perfect in Canva, oh, is that the perfect image? Is that the perfect font? No, like it's good. It's very good. Let's get it out into the world and share that quote or share that message. You can refine and hone it forever. And in some cases, I've done this myself. Um, I was wanting to perfect it for so long because I was only stalling because of my fear of failure. So I was disguising it, as I wanted to be perfect. And reality, I was afraid. I was afraid. I was afraid to launch this coaching business for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons was fear of failure. I come from a family that everyone is an entrepreneur. Everyone owns their own business and has been highly successful in their businesses. And I want to be successful too, right? This was just natural. And and this doubt of, can I do it? Right. Can Amy really start a business? Can Amy make money at a business? Can I help people? Can I transform their lives? What if? What if I can't find customers or don't no one signs up for my coaching experiences? What if I've spent this money to build a website and I can't make enough money to pay off that investment? What if someone criticizes something I put on social media or a way that I coach them or challenge them or hold them accountable? What if I struggle in the same way that they do and feel inadequate or feel self doubt about helping them? Right. And so these are the things that we struggle through. I know I'm not the only entrepreneur out there. I know I'm not the only woman out here that's struggles with this. And so locking arms with failure, it might not feel good, but it's who you're going to become in the process, right? And I'm not saying that, if something went terribly awry, that you should just brush it off and, get up and, pretend like nothing happened. No, you still want to take a moment to work through the emotion of whether it's sadness or shame or, um, you know, um, you know, I don't know, being discouraged, and then analyze, okay, what happened? What can I learn from it? I mean, just on the side of technology, all of the things that I've learned in this last 18 months about sending out emails and creating Canva posts and linking Instagram with my Facebook. Still, I mean, seriously, have so much more work to do there. But it was only because I made mistakes that I failed that I learned, well, that's a better way to do it, or that's how you link that together, or um, that color didn't look great, when I put it on a Facebook post. And so we can learn from those things. If we look at failure as a way to grow, it it won't cripple us. And so one of the mindset shifts that I'm working on is failing forward fast and learning from it. So just keep continuing to have progress as much as I can, not letting fear cripple me, and then learning in the process that it's an opportunity for growth. Again, like so many wonderful things in our lives would not be possible if other people had not failed and then took their failures, learned from them, and then produced something amazing. Maybe it's a modern convenience. We think of the airplane, automobile, and so many things, Spanx. And why can't we take the time, to learn from them and to recognize our fear? I think that's important too. Like, why am I not um, looking for speaking engagements? Why am I not working on my book? Why am I not putting out social media posts? Um, why am I not showing up to volunteer? or saying yes when someone asks me to? Is it because I'm afraid that I can't do it well enough? Am I afraid that I might fail at leading a small group or a Bible study at my parish? Take that and think about that and say, what are the reasons I'm saying no? Or what are the reasons I'm stalling? If you have a beautiful dream on your heart and a mission and a maybe it's a business, maybe it's a service, maybe it's a product, maybe it's um, a nonprofit that you want to start to help a particular group of individuals. Try and set the fear aside. Try and eliminate the voices in your head that are telling you you can't do it. Those voices that are saying, "What, you think you're good enough to do that? What if you fail? Or you're going to fail? What will people think about you? How will you respond to that? You couldn't get up if you failed. People will just laugh at you." No, silence those voices that are instilling fear, and say, "No, I am a courageous woman. I am a woman who fails forward fast and learns from it." I think to think that we'll never fail, that's, a little too much sunshine. Because we are going to fail. And also, who are the people around you that are supporting you? So silencing those voices, those lies that you're hearing in your head, and instead speaking truth. I am capable. I am competent. I do have a mission and vision that God wants me to bring to the world. I learn from failure instead of letting failure stop me, letting fear of failure paralyze you. And once we get comfortable with that, I was just remembering a story about Sarah Blakely, to the Spanx gal. She said she learned a lot about failure, embracing failure from her dad, and that every night, when they were children at the dinner table, he would ask, "Who failed today?" It's kind of a funny question, right? But he wanted them to know that it's okay to fail, and it's, what did you learn about that failure? There's always something to be learned. And what a great practice. We often we celebrate, well, what went well today? What did we achieve today? Did you get 100 on your spelling test if you're talking to your kids, right? Did you close that sale? And so asking ourselves, where did I fail? And then what did I learn from that? What can I do differently next time? It's like this little examine, right? For those of you who joined me on my looking back and launching forward into the new year workshop, we did some of that work as we reviewed and reflected upon 2021. What went well, what didn't go well, where were the failures, what lessons were learned, where were you resilient? I think that's something that failure gives us the opportunity to be resilient, gives us the opportunity to pivot with grace. So I just challenge you today, if you're struggling with fear of failure, if there is something you need to do or want to do, and you have been dragging your feet on it because you're afraid that it won't be perfect. You're afraid that you'll be criticized. You're afraid that it won't have the result that you're promising. Don't let that stop you. Try it. Just try it. You'll never know until you try. And we become, it's only through working through this fear of failure that we can get on the other side of it. It'll always make us maybe a little nervous, right? I'm not saying that the fear will go away 100% once you've mastered this, because no one loves failure. But defining failure as I had an opportunity today. This is an opportunity for me to grow, learn something new. And if you're leading a company, you have women who are men and women working for you, encourage them. Don't let failure um, create punishment or discipline for them, because that will then make it fearful for them and they won't take risks. They won't try something new. Be a business owner, be a woman, manager, leader, whatever your role is, in which failure is looked at as an opportunity, and almost get excited about it. Oh my gosh, what can we learn from that? What can we do differently next time? How can we serve the client differently next time? Right? Great and wonderful things are birthed out of failure. And so I just encourage you today, pop a comment when you're listening to this in the comments. How did you feel today? And what did you learn from it? All right. Let your light shine brightly. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Have a good one. See you next week.